Hello there. I would just like to go through a couple of questions that I was asked yesterday and talk to you about the Nine's response to them. So let me find them. Here we go. So the first question that someone asked me is, Magenta, I've just listened to someone speak about the death process and the life review and then Kama Loka. It's an unzipping process that separates our lower self from our higher self. And we have to pass through hell realms and the eighth sphere on the way to the higher realms. All this has deeply unsettled me as I thought I had come to terms with the death process, and now I remain in fear once again. I also hold regret for things I have done in my life. So does this mean all that has to be faced as I go through this Kama Loka after death? So great question. And this is what I replied. Everything explained in what is called Kama Loka is occurring right now. So we are July 22nd, 2024. I don't mean today. I mean, now is in this time period. As this is what happens at planetary end times. This process of unzipping or separating the lower aspects from the higher aspects takes place within the physical reality. For some, it will still take place after death, depending on when they die, as planetary end times takes many, many years. So this is the process of ascension. It's basically Kama Loka in the physical body. Choice points will be presented, so humanity can decide if they wish to move fully into higher realms or reincarnate as a memory complex collective, fully realized Stargate ascension or regenesis, basically. So yes, regret, painful memories, guilt regarding past action, etc., will be experienced as you yourself are judged as you stand before the great heavenly judge, yourself. And it is all happening en masse right now on Earth in the body while alive. Planetary end times and Kama Loka are the same thing. I hope this assists anyone worrying about what occurs during the death process or after the death process, because you are already doing it now. Are you passing through hell realms and the eighth sphere and letting yourself get stuck there? Or are you embracing the halls of Amenti, diamond consciousness of joy, love, bliss, euphoria? Your choice, as you are presented with the opportunity to be in control of this process. Conscious, not unconscious. Look around you. Everyone is going through this now, existing within their personal reality of their own making. All the teachings of the Nine have been and continue to be to assist with this journey we all take at this time. So I'm going to go back to have a look at this again. Someone was speaking about the death process, the life review, and Kama Loka, explaining this as an unzipping process that separates our lower self from our higher self, and how we have to pass through hell realms and the eighth sphere on the way to the higher realms. So is that true? Well, yes, it absolutely is. The caveat here is this is the way it's been done for thousands and thousands of years, millions of years. When we leave the physical body, we go through this process of refining ourselves, of purification, and the lower aspects, which are linked to the carbon-based structure, the human physical body, cannot go to the higher realms. So indeed, there's an unzipping, if you will. It's not a word I would use to describe it. It's not a word the Nine have used, but it's a word that describes it, yes. An unzipping process, an unpacking, a separation. That is occurring right now in the physical, because we're at planetary end times and we're going through ascension. So if you have a look at the questions here, the life review, let's take the life review. Well, that's happening now. Often individuals will wait until the death process, and that's how it's been for all of these millennia. There have been individuals who've gone through ascension in small groups and individual groups. That's the Christed path. But as a collective, it's been going through the death process and going into a life review. That life review, it's explained by many individuals who've been through near-death experiences or who have researched near-death experiences or written about that process as you feel what the other person felt when you did something to that person. That's kind of how it's explained. So if you hurt someone, in order for you to understand what you've done, you then experience that person's hurt. So that is kind of, yes, how it goes. But that's a very linear process. It doesn't work when you're actually in that moment of, oh, here is this person you hurt, and this is how they felt, and you're now going to feel what they felt. It's a simultaneous knowing that occurs. You just know how that person felt, and it is if you will, a split-second review where everything comes together. And then that is an unraveling of the entire lifetime, everything you've experienced, everything you have been through. This person said, is it true that it's experienced tenfold compared to how it would be experienced in the physical body? Well, yes, because when you're in the antimatter realm, in the non-physical body, everything is more amplified and everything is more pronounced. So indeed, you would feel that tenfold. But that doesn't mean if you've hurt someone, say you've done something to upset someone and they go through, say, guilt, then when you go through the death process, you're going to feel their guilt 10 times more than they did. That is not how to translate this. It just means that everything is more amplified in order for the soul and the consciousness, the individuated consciousness, to learn. So that's how it's been. But we are now in an ascension process. So the life review is occurring now. So someone who is awake, aware, and I don't just mean to the dark structure and the control structure and all of that. I mean awake and aware to all the great mysteries, who you are, how you connect with the higher self, all of those things. What does ascension actually mean? How are you connected to the Christed path? How are you connected to the God self? All of those things. If you're on that spiritual path and you are learning, then when you won't be deliberately trying to hurt someone, you'll be moving through your life wanting to heal people. You won't want to hurt somebody. There might be moments when you defend yourself and you might end up hurting someone within that defense. It's all part of the journey. But let's just say you hurt someone. When you're going through that higher dimensional process and you are empathic, you will feel instantly that you've hurt them. You're not going to be unconscious to that when you're in this awakened state. You'll know straight away. That's the life review showing itself to you right now in the physical body. So that's just one example. Everything is occurring. I mean, it's known as instant karma. Many spiritual teachers and channels will call this instant karma. It's really your empathy with others and your instant knowing of the experience that you are going through and how your action has a reaction to it, a consequence to it. And instead of you being unconscious to that consequence, you are conscious to that consequence. You understand and know that consequence and feel it. So you navigate through so much easier. So if you do hurt someone, you can move rapidly into healing, or you can use that hurt as a teaching tool for that person. I'm not saying you have to be perfect or that you should never hurt anybody. Obviously, this is all part of your journey and everything is tied up together. The point here is there's no reason to fear the death process with all of this that is called Kama Loka, because it's happening now. It's happening to you right now because you're in the physical body. So, yes, it's true. whoever this person was that was speaking is speaking truth, but is speaking about the linear process of existing, going through the death process, the life review, the separation process, the moving one aspect of the higher realms and integrating or wrapping up that lower realm aspect and discarding that shell of the physical, if you will, and allowing those experiences to expand as they go forth into higher realms. Someone said the near-death experience is therefore just a precursor and all of this comes afterwards. Well, that's not necessarily correct. An individual can go through a near-death experience and begin the life review straight away and start life reviewing and start actually going through Kama Loka and still come back to the physical and then know the experience of moving. So it isn't, it can be for some just a precursor. It can be just a beginning stage and that they haven't got to the deeper work. Others can go through a near-death experience and experience all of this and come back to share it. And the near-death experience is occurring in the physical body right now because Ascension is a series of near-death experiences, if you will. You are intertwined with the realm, which is the place where you go when you leave the physical body. You are intertwined with the realms you go to when you die whilst you are alive. Those realms are all around you. You are part of those realms. You can exist within them and you go through the process you would normally have to die to go through in your waking life when you are at planetary end times and you choose to go through ascension. So this next question and reply will explain further. And the next question is, Magenta, I've been told that Kama Loka takes place after death, not whilst we're living. Yet you are saying it happens now. Also, is Kama Loka not a place rather than a process? So you cannot find that place here in physical reality because it's an astral place. So really good question. Yes, it usually takes place and has done for millions and millions of years and still is for some people taking place after death, not while you're living. That's all true. Yet you are saying it happens now. It's happening now for those going through an ascension process, those who've raised the DNA configuration from a carbon-based molecular structure to a crystalline-based molecular structure. So they are reforming that 12-strand or 144,000 quantum strand DNA template and bringing back the memories, going through the cellular memory cascade process. Those individuals are experiencing Kama Loka now. That's what that is. That is the memory recall as they expand into the organic crystalline DNA structure that is the Christed structure. It is the keys to the library of Sophia. It is the Divine Princess Aurora awakening and Archangel Michael awakening. It is the God self aspect of self-realization, all of those things. Is Kama Loka not a place? Well, yes, it is a place. It is a place because it is a state of consciousness. A state of consciousness is projected as reality. Therefore, it is a place. It is experienced as a place. In the physical reality, that place, that consciousness can be experienced as a process. But really, it's all the same thing. So this was my reply to this. It is true that Kama Loka takes place after death. However, at planetary end times, a collective completion process takes place. You complete a cycle, known also as ascension. You are offered the opportunity for collective ascension. All that would occur after the death of the body and has done for millions of years. Now this occurs within the body, whilst in the body, that's the ascension. Why? Why did it used to occur for millions of years after death? And why is it now occurring whilst in the body? Why is that happening? Why is ascension happening? And the response to that is because the body, the physical body, is carbon-based at the cellular level. A carbon-based body needs to move into this unzipping process, if you will, or this separation process from lower self and higher self, in order to allow the higher aspects to move into the unified heaven realms, the higher realms, the angelic consciousness. A carbon-based body needs to move into an unzipping or separation in order to allow the higher aspects to move into the unified heaven realms, the higher consciousness, because carbon is too dense to access this. So the physical body has to die. So that's why you go through the Kama Loka process. The carbon aspect of the physical body is too dense. You can't access these higher realms of crystalline light, of photonic plasmic light with carbon. That the carbon is physical, it's blood and bone. It can't go there. It's not possible for it to go there. It has to be separated, so it has to go through the Kama Loka. So the physical body has to die. However, in Ascension, the body begins to crystallize, as in the carbon-based molecular structure begins to become a crystallized quantum matrix. At this point, the entire living self, consciousness, and the physical aspect, the mind, body, spirit, become one. They unify together, and the Kama Loka process can be experienced whilst in this new crystallized body that holds far more light, which is photonic light. So before I continue to discuss that, I'd just like to say, if blood and bone is carbon-based and cannot move into these higher realms and you have to leave the physical body, how can a Kama Loka experience take place in a physically ascending body when there's still blood and bone within that body? So what actually happens is the blood and the bone within the physical individual changes its form when this light begins to stream in. So the individual has the choice to be physical. So they won't be carbon-based anymore, but they can emulate a carbon-based structure with physicality. But their actual form is more like a pliable substance. The bone is malleable. It moves. It's more like a moving structure, perhaps like a gel, or not water. It would have substance, but it isn't like bone, because the crystalline light allows it to maneuver itself. It's the divine shapeshifter, if you will. So the entire body can be taken to these higher realms, and the individual has the choice to be physical or be in this malleable state, or be completely light and simply just consciousness. All this comes way down the line. Very few individuals will be at this stage now where that their body, their physical body, is so malleable, where they're halfway between carbon-based and crystalline-based. There are some masters on the planet now who can actually do this, but they are very much in the minority. But this is where we're going. So I just wanted to touch on that. In Ascension, the body begins to crystallize. The carbon-based molecular structure becomes a crystallized quantum matrix. At this point, the entire living self, consciousness, and physical aspects, so that's the mind, body, spirit, become one. And the Kama Loka process can be experienced while in this new crystallized body that holds far more light, and that light is photonic light. As for Kama Loka being a place, it is indeed a place. And one name for this place would be the Halls of Amenti. And indeed, Amenti itself, so the halls are the passageways into Amenti and Amenti itself. There are other names for this place. It is the stepping stone into fifth and sixth dimensional consciousness. So they are indeed perceived as places, because in that realm, consciousness is both a place, it is a state of being, and it is a process. So Kama Loka is a state of consciousness, ascended, fully realized, enlightened. So that's the state of consciousness. Are you ascended? Are you fully realized? Are you enlightened? If so, you are holding a state of consciousness, and therefore you will attract to yourself a place that matches that consciousness. And the place, the environment, will trigger and catalyze your ability to become fully realized, ascended, enlightened, because the DNA configuration into this crystalline matrix and this pliable physical body and light body that comes from that is an expression of the environment, and the environment catalyzes it as it catalyzes the environment. Kama Loka is also a process. So the process would be ascension, enlightenment, light body activation, avatar realization, crystalline diamond embodiment. These are processes that you go through to reach this state of consciousness, to then find yourself within the place. If you only think it's a place, then that's a 3D interpretation. That is a double helix interpretation. And you will never be able to access that place by thinking it's a physical place only. So Kama Loka is a process. It is a state of consciousness, and it's a place. So these were really, really great questions. And my aim here in responding to them was the individual who had become deeply unsettled as this person thought they had come to terms with the death process. But what this person is doing is interpreting what they're hearing in a linear sense, in a physical sense. Now, that's not a bad thing. The brain is programmed to interpret everything to fit into linear reality. But now we are going through this ascending process, this cellular memory cascade, this raise into the higher crystalline formation. The consciousness begins to see things differently. And I hope that my response here has allowed you to see perhaps a deeper aspect to this process, which, yes, this person who spoke about this is speaking very, very accurately and has a really good understanding of the death process and what happens to the soul. The caveat to that is this doesn't always happen when you die. It does for millions of years throughout an epoch, but at the end of the epoch, you have the opportunity to go through ascension and individualize whilst in the body. So everything you would normally go through after the death process, you will go through whilst in the body. So I hope that has assisted with those questions, and those questions were really, really great. Thank you ever so much. So thank you for listening, and just want to say I'll be back with more videos. Thank you ever so much.